No, I'm 5'6".
Okay, then obviously one's size and body shape can vary even if their sexes are the same.
But men are always bigger.
All men are bigger than all women?
I think that's a pretty fair statement to say, yes.
Oh, um, you're and you're
You
five
have, like,
five,
what? What?
and you're 5'5"?
Why did you shrink me?
Wait, did you not say 5'5"
No, I
before?
said I was 5'6". Again, another little leftist tactic. You just mishear me in a way that demasculates me just a little bit further.
Okay, if you're wait, demasculates you. Okay, wait, I'm really interested.
Yes.
If you're that height, have you never met a woman in your life that was taller than you? I've met women
No.
in my life that are taller than me, and I'm
I've
6'2".
met some big freaks with wide shoulders and ugly faces, but beautiful women are typically like 5 foot to like 5'2" and a half,
You know
maybe
the
five.
entire modeling industry is made up of women who are about 6 feet tall, right? The literal
No, that's
archetypal
because they're wearing
standard of
heels.
beauty.
I know a model and she's very small.
Interesting. Well, I know a model and she's very tall, so it seems we're at an impasse, two worlds
No, you're
colliding.
lying.
Am I?
All right, look, I'm just gonna move on because this is immediately what I'm talking about. I present it's like, oh, I have evidence too, and then I say you're lying, and you're like, I guess I am lying. So that's we're gonna call that a point. We're
All
just
right,
gonna
you got me on that one. I'm sorry.
okay.
I'll do better for
That
the next one, okay? I just want to give you a good challenge.
you know what? Why don't you pick a topic? Because I'm pretty sure I disagree with you on most things, and I don't want to just rail down a list of things you weren't prepared for. Because I've been reading and studying and practicing, and I have many studies confirming what I say. Changing.
Well, you
Hold
said...
on, your chat is now messaging me again.
Listen, I'm not... If they're saying mean things to you, I'm not responsible for them, okay?
You can tell them to stop
I
and have some
disavow.
respect.
Guys, stop. Have some fucking respect. Alright, well, you were shit-talking socialism earlier. I don't know if that's... What was I lying about with the extreme dad thing? You mentioned 4 things. We've covered 1.
No, that's the thing. We'll come back to that. I'm gonna let you have so
Oh.
we can move around, but I will be returning to that.
Okay, I've got a good one for you. Do you or do you not love black people?
What?
Do you love black people?
What? Why would I
Answer the
that?
question. Do
Oh, I refuse to answer that question.
you
Do you hate
love...
white people?
Answer
Do
the
you hate
question.
white cis straight non-soy boy males like me?
You can't answer the question, can you?
I'm not going to.
Answer the question. Do you love black people?
No.
All right. That sounds like a point in my book. Too scared to get at the real questions. I get
I'm
it.
not being scared. I said I'm not answering that question. That's a matter of principle.
One
I'm
for
not going to
one.
be back again. Another trick.
Yeah.
This is it.
You just said not answering that question. Just like in 5 minutes, you're gonna say, "Damn, I got blown the fuck out on that question." It's all right. You're consenting.
No, I have no regrets. I'll answer that question right now.
All right. Do you love
Yeah.
black people?
Yeah, I love all black people despite everything they do, despite the studies. Sure, I do. I love people indiscriminately. I have no amygdala in my brain.
All right. Good to know. Me too. All right,
Was
your
that
turn.
it? You just
Yeah, your
wanted
turn.
to try and make me sound racist?
What? What does race have to do with loving black people?
You asked me if I love black people, which would imply I hate black people if I said no.
What? No, that has nothing to do with race. I'm just
So
asking
you
if you
don't
love
love
black
black people?
What?
So you don't love black people?
Is that the question you're choosing for your turn, and then I get to go again?
Sure, why not?
I love black people.
Very, very brave.
I love black people.
They're messaging me again. In case you want to say something.
To my chat?
Now they're asking me questions I just answered. They're saying, do you love black people? I don't care. This is exactly what's so funny about it, because I went to YouTube the other day. No, let me tell this. I went to YouTube the other day, and I come in your little Dark Souls playing video games chat, and I shut up, and I'm how do I block people?
I actually, unironically, don't know how to block people over Discord.
Oh, so you've never blocked anyone?
No, I don't. I block people all the time over Twitter, but over Discord.
Yeah, you're for deplatforming, but you don't block anyone? Are you for deplatforming? Because most of you seem to be. I watched the Sean Jen video, and he was talking about that.
Is that one of the things you disagree with me on, deplatforming?
Absolutely. If you disagree, if you deplatform people, yes.
Well, I don't think I've ever deplatformed anyone. I've supported people being deplatformed.
Why?
Why haven't I deplatformed people, or why do I support?
No, why?
Why to which portion of my statement?
I'm saying, if you support people being deplatformed, why?
It would depend on the circumstance, the specific person in the platform. Do you have like a specific example that I've supported in the past?
Let's say Steven Crowder.
Yeah. If Steven Crowder was like banned off Twitter and YouTube and stuff.
Why?
Why would I be in favor of that?
Yes, Vosh, typically you have to have a reason for things.
Well, I'm not opposed to having a reason. I'm just making sure we're talking about the same thing. I'd be in favor of it.
I'm going to the store with my son and I'm asking him what he wants and he keeps saying why.
Well, there are two reasons with Steven Crowder. I think that Steven Crowder violates YouTube's terms of service. I think that his conduct is unquestionably hateful. Whether or not you believe that YouTube should be able to ban YouTube channels who have hateful content.
Well, I want to stop there. I want to talk about that because if he has violations of terms of the service, then why wasn't he banned?
Because there are terms of service violations that go unmet all the time. Because he has a huge
channel.
He has
millions of subscribers. How could they not see that?
It's not a matter of him not having his. Oh shit! It's not a matter of them not seeing the issue.
Got you there, huh?
Well, no, actually, the jar of laughing curse juice got me in Dark Souls, but. It's not a matter of whether or not YouTube sees that he is engaged in TOS violations. The issue is whether or not they will actually follow through on previous promises to enforce that content. Like, for example, with his, for a wide variety of reasons, the most likely one with Steven Crowder would probably be that there would be a huge blowback if he was deplatformed. That would not be worth the benefit of deplatforming him.
Hold on. Go in here. Turn off DMs from server members.
You don't like my fucking chat members? You don't like my friends?
They're all just repeating what you say. It's very obnoxious.
Listen, I'm atop my Sermon on the Mount, okay? They're just following the
They keep sending me images that I don't want to look at.
Wait, guys, this kid could be underaged, okay? I hope you're not sending anything dicey.
I'm not underage, but I'm probably older than you are.
Wait, how old are you?
27.
Hey, you are older than me. Shit.
Looks like it, Sonny.
Wait, if you're 27, then why are you Space C or C Space 1990? Wouldn't that make you 29?
No, I do hide my age sometimes online. C Space 1990 is the car that I have talked about on the YouTube stream. And I actually told your chat that the other day because they were getting extremely triggered about the things I have and how hard I work.
How hard do you work? Do you work very hard?
Yes, I work 16-hour days sometimes.
Damn, I don't have to work that hard. My capitalist ingenuity has allowed me to live a life of relative luxury.
No, you're a socialist. You just get the money for free. You just play video games and lie.
Well, wait. If you're a capitalist, then you should believe any wage which I am paid for my work is by market definition a fair wage.
No, you didn't start that. You didn't start that business. You're just playing on Discord.
Oh, wait. I started a YouTube channel. My followers consensually, voluntarily donate to me money, and it's as a reward, I suppose, for the content I produce.
Capitalism is about having an employer.
Well, I thought capitalism was about voluntary transactions between market agents. I didn't realize that the government-approved employer status was such a necessary component to you, you fucking statist.
So I'm a statist now because I use actual definitions?
Yeah, dude, you're a statist. I thought the pure beating heart of capitalism.
Sure. Okay, yeah, I'm a statist because I use definition and all right, so
imagine believing you need to get permission from the state before you can become a voluntary actor in a free market. This guy.
I'm just rubbing my face at how ignorant you turned out to be. You truly don't get it. Like, This is every debate you do. Someone comes in here and they say their point, and then you twist it and you say, "Oh, you're actually a communist for saying that." And then the other person, they typically don't call you on it, but that's happening today. I'm not gonna just.
I don't know if I've ever done that trick. I'm not a big fan of that trick personally. That, oh, you like giving to the poor? Well, you're a socialist. I don't think I've ever done that.
No, giving to the poor is capitalism.
I see.
You can't have charity under socialism because the money's taken by force at gunpoint.
I see.
Well, first you get a visit. Hold on. I guess I'll hash this out for your audience of little soy boys. So first you get a
I'll
summons.
have you know I have plenty of soy girls in my audience too, okay?
No, you don't. They're all boys just saying they're girls. Anyway, you get a bench warrant. You go to court. Then you get threatened with jail time. Why don't you understand economics? I don't know, Zara. You're not. Why don't you shut up and mind your business? Listen to this, okay? You get a
Boy squad.
What?
Boy squad.
That's exactly what this is. It's just a little bunch of camper boys running around.
Boys?
This is a bunch of little Boy Scouts. That's all it is.
Oh, wait, isn't a Boy Scout an honorable position because you're learning discipline and life skills?
No, I'm actually against the Boy Scouts. I think it's just another pedophile hole that people go into. Oh, that's an interesting debate. Let's do that. Jeffrey Epstein, he was a leftist. Explain that.
He was a leftist.
He was a liberal. Yes, he was a Democrat.
Oh, yeah. I'm not a liberal. I'm a leftist.
Right. Who are you voting for in this election?
What? I'm voting for Bernie Sanders, my dude.
Bernie Sanders, he's
Reincarnation of Lenin himself.
He's a Democrat, isn't he?
Yes.
So that makes you a Democrat voter.
Yes, I'm a registered Democrat voter.
Well, thank you. That's all I needed. Guess you're voting for the party of Epstein because you have no morals.
Gotcha.
Okay. Boom. There we go. 2 points.
Are you in favor, just really quickly, are you in favor of marrying children as an adult?
What? No.
And then raping them?
Well, what is rape in this context?
Oh, I mean, they're underage girls, and you're a man who's above age, and you marry them with the permission of their parents, and then you rape them. That's what I'm saying. Are you pro or against that?
No, I'm not a Democrat.
Interesting, because it's actually Republicans who fastidiously fought to prevent legislation from allowing those things to be banned, child marriages. There are multiple states in which that has been explicitly forbidden by the state senators who are Republican.
No, it isn't.
Okay, you got me with that one. It's actually not true, the thing I just said. It's just, I understand that denialism is an essential component of being conservative, because only a person who is hiding from reality could believe anything other than the Republicans are just simmering pedophiles. You too,
California
probably.
Democrats introduce LGBTQ bill to protect pedophiles who rape children.
Fascinating. Would you mind showing that to me?
Yes.
Link it to me. Also, that has nothing to do with what I just said. That had nothing to do with child marriage. But I'll give it a look.
Let me get it. Hold on. This is the wrong website.
Interesting. What website did you originally procure it from?
Liberal propaganda.
Interesting. That sounds like a great website to get your information from.
I'm going to present a different point. Give me a moment. I want to look in my book here.
Okay. Don't accidentally download any CP while you're looking it up, okay?
Why would you accuse me of downloading CP?
Oh, just my experience with right-leaning people has always been very similar.
Oh, how many?
Right-leaning people?
How many right-wing people do you know who download child pornography?
Every one of
them. Every one of them. Wow, that's a fascinating argument. Mm-hmm. Let's unpack that.
They tell me, too. They tell me in private, in confidence.
They tell you, huh?
Yes.
Turn off your notification. Can you hear my notification sounds?
Yes, I can.
Oh, well, too bad. I don't give a shit.
Why are you physically... Do you have a physical document in front of you?
Of course I do.
Is it... What... On what is subject is it? Wait, did you bring a binder to this debate?
Hmm?
Did you bring a binder to this debate?
Did you not?
No, I
You don't
brought
have
it.
anything. You just have your video games there and lying and saying, "Oh,
That's
skins
true.
all up shop porn."
You know what they say? Boys from 1994 don't even know how to cook or binder. All they know how to do is play Dark Souls 2, do propaganda, socialism, and lie. You know how they say. And eat hot chip.
Well, it's a meme, but effectively, I guess that's true in this case.
I ate my hot chips earlier. I had some nachos.
Okay, so why do you think Bernie Sanders is ever going to win? Why do you think anyone would ever want socialism? Why would I want to go from making all the money I do and having...
Wait, what happened to that article you were going to link me on? Democrats passing a bill to protect pedophiles who rape children.
It's not important.
Interesting. Did the text of the article say something different from the headline of the website from which you originally found it?
The website must have been taken down, probably because Google has a tendency to hide things.
You know how they are. Google in the echo signs. They're always hiding stuff.
Well, they are. They fired James Damore for basically just saying women and men are different. So I really wouldn't be surprised if they just start pulling things down that I've looked up.
Dude, that's all. That wasn't even it. They fired James Damore for saying I am a man. That's all he said. He said I am a man, and that was all it took. And then Google fired him. It was fucking crazy.
We're all just laughing it up over here. We're just laughing it up.
Well, I'm dead serious. Okay, as a man, I'm not comfortable with the blatant misandry that Google has demonstrated at their offices.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So, so you do understand that point then, because I'm just gonna say if you want to be sarcastic all the time, be a sassy little boy, then we can do that.
It must be the soy coming out. I'm sorry. I should be straight talking like a man's supposed to.
If you can, that'd be great.
All right. So what are we talking about? Socialism?
Sure. Why not?
Okay. Are you a socialist?
Why would I be a socialist? I wouldn't. No, I'm not. I'm a capitalist.
Do you like
I'm
good things and dislike
capitalist.
bad things? I'm trying to keep it simple for you. I'm straight talking. Do you like it when things are good? Do you hate it when things
now
are
you're
bad?
speaking down to me, and I think that goes against your heightism video, doesn't it?
Whoa! Whoa, talk about Victim Andy over here. I wasn't bringing height into it.
I have made myself incredibly knowledgeable on the stupid shit you say, and that's why I have a binder Bosch.
Gotcha.
Now that video, I didn't find any issues with, so we're not going to talk about that one. But the other one,
which video?
Yeah, we can talk. Your rant on heightism with a headache.
Ah, yes. Would you say that was one of my my best works, my masterpieces?
I would say you were fairly logical there.
Aw. So you agree then that when people are subjugated to social conditions that cause them to be ostracized, if you're mistreated consistently, that it's usually a good
That's a very
idea?
interesting framing. Are you going to tell me that, black people are still slaves or something next? Because I know I see that trick. That was a very good step you did, Muhammad Ali style.
I have no idea what the relationship between the two things you just mentioned are. Do you agree that short dudes in this country are kind of marginalized a little bit?
Somewhat, if they're not alpha males, if they don't stand up for themselves.
Sure,
If
yeah,
they
and
don't
there are
learn
black people who are
judo.
like fucking alpha as shit and live good lives too. But for the most part, I would say that being short usually confers a disadvantage to a person, especially if they're a man, though maybe a little bit to a woman. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
And do you agree then that as responsible and kind people, we should make an effort to try to alleviate the suffering or malcontent these people experience as a product of their being short?
No. I think that you have to suck it up on your own, because that's what life is about.
Oh, I see. Then kind of weird of you to suddenly bring up the short complaining over there, the fucking Napoleon syndrome clapback.
It's not Napoleon syndrome.
Okay,
Napoleon,
well, hey, next time, listen,
was taller than people
I'm
give him
very
credit
stoic.
for.
I understand not
Napoleon
everyone can
was
be like me.
5'7". He
I
was
encourage
tall.
you, just next time, just suck it up a little bit, okay? Don't worry about it. Just don't get too heated.
No, I am sucking it up, and that's why I'm talking about it.
Slurping it right up. Hey, listen, I've got an ultimatum for you if we want to continue this conversation. You need to shut your Discord the fuck up.
How?
There's no possible way you're receiving that many messages. You have to be deliberately...
I am. It's how's the chowder? He's spamming me. And Rocket Man, he keeps spamming Boomer, even though I'm barely older than you.
Yeah, that's the Boomer cutoff. It's everyone who's older than you, right?
How do I mute this?
That's an excellent question. Right-click the chat icon. Here, I'm going to find out with my own Discord. Right-click.
The home
yes,
icon.
if you right-click on a person's name under direct messages, you can mute them. And mute at whatever they are. So mute whoever it is who's messaging you.
I mute all messages because it's many offenders.
You can, I think, just right-click one at a time. If you mute Discord in total, you won't be able to hear me.
Mute Pig Puncher. I like your name, by the way. I bet you attack a cop. You're a very tough guy. You're a big scary guy, aren't you?
Dude, he punches pigs. Do you have any idea how strong pigs are?
Pigs are not strong. I've had pigs.
Like real, like big pigs? Like the 250-pound, like hog pigs?
Hog? Yes, I've met hogs.
Oh. I mean, how many hogs have you met? I thought we were off the gay stuff.
See, we could just sit here and be immature all night. I can do that. I don't care because, you know what? I knew I was getting into that. Just call me gay. That's a good one. Ooh, he's gay. Does he know hogs? What's a hog in the gay world? I thought bears were the gay world.
Hog means cock, and not just in the gay world.
I'm muting you. Muting you. You just got muted too. You're okay, you're good. How's the chowder keeps making noise even though I muted him?
Well, it's not making noise to me anymore. I'm not hearing the beep beeps.
Then I guess it doesn't matter.
Oh, wait, I just heard another one. Hold on. Our suffering is eternal, it seems.
Because as soon as I get in here, I get harassed for having opinions and trying to debate and have an actual conversation.
We hate free speech over here, so it's true. Any effort you make to actually suss out opinions will be met with antagonism.
Oh, I know. I know you hate freedom of speech. That's why I'm in here getting shouted down by these beeps. I'm getting... Your microphone's louder than mine. How do I turn mine on?
That might be a product of my microphone being more expensive than yours.
No, I doubt it.
Bid in the free market, you might be able to...
I doubt it.
You know, achieve something of comparable... Oh, you can turn off notification sounds, the general settings? Alright, yeah. Go into the fucking...
The gear.
Yeah, the gear wheel. Find that shit. Godspeed. I've never hit it myself. You're in desperate
settings.
Times.
Billing? Yeah, right. Streamer mode.
Gotcha, Hyde.
I don't care. I don't care.
This bitch is using magic.
Did she shut it off?
Did who shut it off?
Did Hyena shut it off? No. No.
No. Hyena has done nothing.
No, I'm just getting more messages that say, get fucked, dickweed. I'll respond to you. Fuck you, faggot. I'm just gonna talk. Okay.
Oh.
So.
Wait. You can also set your profile to busy.
Busy.
You know, you've got like the little green light or the yellow light or the red light. If you set it to busy or to away or to do not disturb, I don't think you'll get the notification sounds.
Do not disturb. Okay.
Alright.
I believe I did it.
Nice. Fuck yeah. Alright, we're sounding good. Thanks, chat, for lighting the way.
Back to what you said, do I like good things or do I like bad things? I believe that was your phrasing of socialism.
Yeah. Do you like good things? That's why I'm into socialism, because I like good things.
Hold on.
No worries, comrade.
So how many deaths has socialism brought?
I don't think any. It's pretty crazy how successful it's been so far.
No socialism deaths. So if I Google that, I'll get nothing?
Yeah, unless Google's lying to you. You agree that Google tends to lie, right?
Not on freethepeople.org.
Oh, I see.
I have it bookmarked too. 67 million people.
Can I ask you a sincere question?
Okay.
Should I continue treating this with the levity that I have up until this point, or should I treat you like the deranged person that you are making every effort to convince me that you are?
What are you talking about?
Should I be like concerned? Should I be trying to talk you down?
Oh, is this your epic preparation? Should I talk to you like you're a deranged person? Do I sound deranged? I feel like I'm here.
Listen, I just want to know if I'm gonna be like the straw that broke the camel's back. You know, if I'm going to be an accomplice in a school shooting. If I'm not, then we can go forever.
Shooting. No, I don't do school shootings. I'm not a Democrat.
Okay. So,
Ooh.
really quickly, you think that I'm a liar. Do you think I'm just like an ideologue who doesn't assess his own positions accurately? Or do you think that I'm like a malevolent person who's trying to deceive others?
All socialists are malevolent.
Gotcha.
They do evil. They preach evil. They preach stealing, taking, violence, anti-business, anti-capitalist, anti-God rhetoric.
Well, I won't deny some of the things you just said. I don't like business or God very much.
Noted.
Right. So, you don't think I want to help people? I'm not interested in...
No.
Okay.
The socialists want to help themselves and pretend they're helping other people, but that's why they don't create, they don't generate, like a capitalist who makes a product that people need.
I think I'm the wrong person to speak to on this, because I do produce products people enjoy, and they pay me handsomely for it.
You play video games online, that's not a product.
Oh, you don't think that videos are products? Are movies a product?
Movies are products because you can purchase them as DVDs, and you can go to a theater to watch them. A YouTube video is just built on government infrastructure.
Wait, hold on. Wait, there are straight-to-video DVDs. You realize that, right?
And
so they don't
movies,
show them in theaters.
Yeah, you could have any kind of DVD.
Okay, right. So and you can just stream movies directly to your computer if you wanted. In fact, there are movies that are available online. No, for free.
That's illegal.
There are movies on YouTube that are produced for YouTube by studios. They're free, and you can't physically purchase them. They're only available online. They have the exact same type of product that I do, though obviously in their case they have a studio that helps them. I just do it myself, because I'm an entrepreneur like that. So I think I'm actually, by any reasonable definition, producing products which other people enjoy, and they compensate me for.
No. No. Look.
Why can't you just say I'm a hypocrite? Why are you denying that I produce
I could go
products?
out into the street and hand off my t-shirt and say, producing something. I'm not. I'm just wasting my time. And
Well,
people are giving
no,
me
the
money
issue
for it.
the issue there is that you didn't produce it. You bought it from another outlet and you're reselling it.
You
Whereas
bought your webcam from another outlet.
Yes, the webcam is a tool to produce something.
You bought Dark
in the
Souls.
case of the T-shirt, you would be reselling. It's not
Your
a tool.
PlayStation isn't yours.
So in that case, nobody produces anything because everyone uses tools made by other companies.
Capitalists produce things.
I see. Yeah, I think you might actually be beyond speaking to. Do you have any last point that you want to get to?
Yeah, sure. I'm sorry it went badly for you. I look therapy session with your chat. They can all stop harassing me. I have 184 messages from How's the Chowder. I think that's very mature. And basically, yeah, too bad. Sorry things didn't go well for you. And anytime you need a spanking, you let me know.
All right, I'll keep that in mind. Hey, can I ask you a favor?
Hmm?
I won't ban you from chat because this is good memes and all, but if you ever act like too crazy, I'm gonna have to for your own good. Okay?
I gotta be careful. I don't trigger Vosh.
No. It's not about me. It's about you.
I'm gonna trigger your audience again. Ooh.
All right. I wish you the best, my friend. I hope you enjoy the
Oh, I
Dark Souls
will.
stream.
I'll have the best. I work a lot of hours, buddy. I make a lot of money doing capitalist shit in a free market.
Can I offer you something before you go?
Why?
What if I told you there was an economic system that would allow you to live as comfortably as you do now, but
I do.
You wouldn't. Yes, but you wouldn't have to work as many hours.
Let me guess. It's communism.
I was going to say socialism.
Oh, let me guess. It's the same thing. Tomato. No, it's tomato. Got you again, Republican.
Do you think there's any difference between socialism and communism?
No.
I see. Well, then yeah, communism. I'm rooting for you, buddy.
Playing video games and capitalism?
Yes, because one of them is a pastime and the other is an economic system.
Capitalism is my pastime. I work for fun, buddy. I love my work.
I am
I love
genuinely
my boss
heartened to
and the
hear.
money he gives me and the opportunities I have. I love my Pontiac my convertible, my wife, my house, my wedding ring.
I love your wife too.
Thank you.
All right. Hey man. Well, enjoy the bizarre and almost frightening degree of compliance you have with the system as it exists today.
Here we go. Thank you. Good luck, Bruce.
What do you want for? I can't end the call. I'm playing Dark Souls.
Disrespectful shit, boss. I'm not just gonna let you do that.
All right. I love you, man. Okay.
Welcome back, everybody, to the H3 Podcast Live. Thank you to our sponsor today, Dollar Shave Club, Beach Body On Demand, Tripping, and eHarmony for sponsoring this episode. Next week, we have Captain Disillusion, who will be joining us on Friday. And please leave your questions for him on the subreddit. There's a thread up there. Today's guest is the great and wonderful and one of our all-time favorite guests, Dr. Jordan Peterson, who has graced us with his presence yet again. He has just released a new book, 12 Rules for Life, an antidote for chaos. Ela, hold that up. It's calm. Even the cover is calming.
It is calming. I feel much calmer when you look like one of those game show hostesses too. We've got that
You could
helmet.
win,
That's
dude.
right.
You don't, legend has it, you don't even need to read the book. Just keep it close. It has an aura. And this book, I've read it. I loved it. And listen, don't take my word for it. Take Amazon's top seller list for it. I don't know if that's more credible. But welcome, everybody!
Thousands of people would like to know who really created Bitcoin.
So, who made Bitcoin? When you ask about the creator, who created this, who invented this, they must be a real genius. Everyone's like, we have no idea.
Were you able to learn anything more about who Satoshi Nakamoto is?
No.
We're taking a look at Bitcoin in full rally mode today.
You're right about that, Romaine. At this point, Bitcoin is up about 20%, if you can believe it. And over the last 13 trading days, only one down day. Look at that. It's really pretty incredible. 71%. The bulls clearly in charge.
Hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey.
After collecting over $1 billion of people's investments, just fucking disappeared into the wind.
Now, you did not lose $30,000, okay? Everyone, listen up. You didn't lose your money. Now, you have your... Technically, you kind of lost your money.
Most likely, it's a fictitious name. I don't know him. No. No. I don't even know his name or person.
By now, just about everyone has heard about Bitcoin. It's a household name, and in the short span of a decade, cryptocurrency as a term has gone from obscurity all the way to the mainstream. The creation of Bitcoin has fostered this entirely new world of financial discussion, and to this day, blockchain technology seeks to undermine a number of industries in the future. Whether you're a fan of the whole Bitcoin thing or not, there is one thing almost all of us can agree on. Bitcoin is legendary for the sheer number of insane stories that come out of its existence. The first story that comes to mind for me with Bitcoin is the tale of the Gizmodo editor who threw away a hard drive with 7,500 Bitcoin on it. This is both absolutely hilarious and tragic simultaneously. By the time he realized it, he had thrown away $7.5 million. And today it's worth around $54 million. On the flip side of things, you might be all too familiar with the stories of the Bitcoin millionaires who made good on their initial investments and held long enough that the words moon and Lambo had a new meaning. All in all, Bitcoin as a whole has fostered this incredibly interesting community. But when it comes to Bitcoin, the most infamous story you've probably heard of is the rise and fall of the BitConnect Ponzi scheme. We've all seen the bald dude yelling BitConnect, and in all honesty, this topic deserves a video of its own. Time and time again, we've seen scandals of YouTubers promoting things that are less than stellar, and these are obviously in exchange for those sweet influencer dollars. It's one thing to promote YouTuber merchandise that's going to end up in all of the thrift stores in a couple of decades from now, but selling your audience a Ponzi scheme that led to the loss of people's life savings is just another insane story from the Bitcoin realm. The list goes on, and on my channel previously, we've only scratched the surface of the stories of the various darknet marketplaces and services, all stemming from Bitcoin's creation. All in all, I must say, the cryptocurrency community fascinates me with the Twitter pump and dumps, blackmail emails, and major Bitcoin exchanges getting hacked. There's so much chaos in the world of cryptocurrency that I can only really describe it as the Wild West. But don't get it twisted, I still believe that Bitcoin and blockchain technology is a great invention. Whenever there's something new and there's hype around it, it takes time for it to grow out of its infancy. We all know Bitcoin by now, but despite us knowing all about it, there is one thing that none of us know. At the heart of Bitcoin's genesis, there is one internet mystery that is just as grand a story as all of the others. That mystery is the true identity of the creator of Bitcoin, and it begins with one elusive online persona. As many of you know already, that certain identity is Mr. Satoshi Nakamoto. In the 21st century, it's practically impossible to have a global impact without at least putting your name out there. Yet Satoshi Nakamoto is an exception. By all accounts, the person behind this online persona was a genius, and to this day, no one knows who he is or what happened to him. Satoshi Nakamoto is a pseudonym, which is a fictitious name, and this name is the author of the now famous white paper by the name of Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Satoshi was the catalyst to the creation of Bitcoin, along with the help of various developers over time, but to this day, not a sliver of verifiable proof as to his real identity has been revealed. The person behind this identity is believed to have been ahead of his time and had a comprehensive understanding of C++ coding, economics, and cryptography. This unnamed billionaire is believed to be the owner of about 1 million Bitcoin that has remained untouched to this day. Something I should note is that this 1 million number is a bit of a rumor. It's widely speculated that much of the unspent coins within the first year of Bitcoin's mining belonged to Satoshi. I would say that it's very likely that Satoshi owns a large sum, but it's incredibly difficult to say exactly how much Bitcoin Satoshi has stashed away. This mysterious identity came out of nowhere and has thus created non-stop speculation in regards of what type of person could have been behind Bitcoin. You might think that the creator of Bitcoin would have some endgame where they would profit off of it, yet Satoshi's actions thus far have pointed in the opposite direction. Not a single penny of this supposed fortune has ever been touched, and due to the nature of how public blockchain transactions work, we would know if this were to change at any given moment. There are quite a few theories about why Satoshi hasn't spent any of his fortune, so I'll take some time now to address some common theories. Some people believe that Satoshi is waiting for the perfect time to cash out, while some optimists believe that Satoshi never intends on selling his fortune as a donation to the community. There's a chance that Satoshi lost access to his Bitcoin, which I will explain in more detail later. Some people believe that Satoshi Nakamoto is dead, while others believe he wanted to retain his anonymity. As we go forward, I will elaborate on all of these theories much more. I must say that this Satoshi debate has gone on for quite some time, and by no means is this topic new. Many people have done their research into this subject, but typically something I notice is that a lot of journalists who do videos or articles on this matter tend to pick a candidate and then work backwards. I should mention that we are going to go over the list of popular candidates, but for now, I need to point something out. The fact of the matter is that starting with a candidate in mind creates a sort of confirmation bias and doesn't give you the full picture of the online persona of Satoshi Nakamoto. So instead, when we get to my analysis, I'd like to focus only on primary sources for evidence to try and set the record straight about what we actually know about the mysterious creator of Bitcoin. Despite the fact that Satoshi took a wide variety of steps to make sure no paper trail would lead back to him, no matter how good you are at operational security, the fact of the matter is, whenever you connect and interact online with others, what you do and say still directly gives clues to what type of person you are. Any good poker player will tell you that whenever you sit down to play at a table, every little thing you do sends information to the other players there. Whether that information is body language, decision-making, or even your word choice to the others at the table, all of these give hints towards a poker game's final outcome. In our search for the creator of Bitcoin, I'd like to collect a vast majority of the analysis on the internet and compile it together in a similar way to my poker analogy. That being said, understanding this topic requires quite a bit of background information, so bear with me. Without further ado, to start our timeline of context, I'd like to take you back to the 1980s to begin our attempts at unraveling the true identity of Satoshi Nakamoto. Despite what many people have been led to believe, the influence for the creation of Bitcoin spans way farther back in history than just 2007. The roots for the creation of Bitcoin actually take place all the way back in the late 1980s, and much of their influence can be traced back to one individual by the name of David Chaum. David Chaum was a cryptographer and computer scientist who is well known for his various contributions to the cryptographic community in and around 1982. He released a paper called Blind Signatures for Untraceable Payments. This academic paper ultimately led to the creation of a company by the name of DigiCash, an anonymous payment system. Much of David Chaum's work is what could be credited as the main influence to the activist group known as the Cypherpunks. Satoshi had knowledge of the Cypherpunk group, what it stood for, and he seemed to know many, but not all, of the popular members, but more on that later. The term cypherpunk is something that is crucial in understanding the origin of Bitcoin and who its potential creator might be, so for the sake of simplicity, I'll give you the Wikipedia definition for what a cypherpunk is. A cypherpunk is any activist advocating widespread use of strong cryptography and privacy-enhancing technologies as a route to social and political change. Originally communicating through the cypherpunks' electronic mailing list, informal groups aim to achieve privacy and security through proactive use of cryptography. To explain a bit further here, cypherpunks essentially saw ahead in time in regards to the lack of privacy found in our modern internet. Nowadays, we give up all of our info to advertisers and the government, and by now you could argue we've all just accepted that we're all being monitored. In the 1970s, though, that was a bit different, and encryption was something that was really only used by governments and spies. As these methods of encryption made their way out to the general public, cypherpunks advocated against Big Brother by promoting cryptography and other practices on an individual basis. Cypherpunks sort of wanted the average consumer to take their own online privacy into their own hands by giving them tools to do so. As you can imagine, teaching advanced cryptographic techniques to the general public and getting them to care about online privacy would be an uphill battle, as most people at the time didn't even own a home computer. This was the roots of the cypherpunks, though, and as mentioned previously, their main form of communication was a very active email list called the Cryptography mailing list. You can think of this email list as a sort of precursor to an online forum, and this mailing list was so active that trolls at the time would actually sign people up on their behalf to flood their inboxes with spam. This mailing list was started around 1992 by Eric Hughes, Timothy C. May, and John Gilmore, who founded a small group that met monthly at Gilmore's company Cygnus Solutions in the San Francisco Bay Area. Here, as like-minded individuals, they would discuss a wide variety of political topics and goals that the group had in mind. As the cypherpunk community grew, the mailing list grew quickly as well, to over a few thousand individuals, and over time it became an incredibly active group for discussion over the years. As the group grew further, the cypherpunks continued to play at least some role in developing a number of notable softwares over the years. Something I want you to keep in the back of your mind as we go forward is that the origin of the cypherpunk group stems from California. Consider that at this time in the internet's history, you didn't have as far-reaching political activism geographically. This group grew far larger by word of mouth, more than just random strangers on the internet sharing things like we do today. We should keep in mind that the cypherpunks group influence would be strongest where this group had the most people locally. If we look at Google Trends for the term cypherpunk leading up to when Satoshi approached the group, we can see that California had the highest interest in the United States from 2004 to 2008. Satoshi had come into contact with the cypherpunks' influence at some point, and something we should consider is that there may be a chance that Satoshi may have been active under a different username prior to creating Bitcoin. Coding for Bitcoin started in 2007, according to Satoshi, so if we look at the cryptography mailing list archive, theoretically, Satoshi would have been posting previously under another name or another email account as a cypherpunk. Keep this archive in the back of your mind as I start to add more and more clues to this internet mystery. I will link the cryptography mailing list archive in the description for later use. What I really want to highlight here more than anything is that California was a hotspot for this group's activism. I know this detail might be trivial now, but as we start to dig into things, you'll understand why I pointed this detail out. As mentioned previously, the cypherpunks developed a wide variety of software. However, one thing the cypherpunks couldn't seem to be successful in developing was a digital currency, and that's where Satoshi Nakamoto comes in.
On October 31st, 2008, Satoshi Nakamoto showed what he was working on to the cypherpunk mailing list and sought to turn the proposal into a reality. This proposal is the now famous white paper, Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Unlike most white papers that came before him, Satoshi had already started working on the project prior to writing the white paper in 2007. If you're unfamiliar with the term white paper, let me break it down for you, as there's a clue here. There are quite a few definitions for the term white paper, but in this context, it's defined as a sort of document with a guiding philosophy towards solving a problem. Satoshi's white paper was a theoretical outline for creating a decentralized currency that others before him failed to do. One of the main problems with creating a currency at this time was the double spending problem, to which I won't get into technically, but in this circumstance, Satoshi took knowledge from others' past work and applied them towards his proposal in creating the Bitcoin project. The term white paper itself is actually of British origin, and something you should consider is if we look up the Google Trends, we can see that out of any of the first world countries up until 2008 when Satoshi posted this, the term white paper had almost double the interest in the United Kingdom. To top that off, at almost every given opportunity in this white paper, he would write in British English. Throughout his various writings across all his profiles, he uses terms like checks, analyze, favor, organize, and even bloody difficult. Throughout all his writings, he never spells anything incorrectly. Though keep in mind that none of us are perfect, which means that whatever spell checking software he had at the time was correcting him into British English. What's incredibly interesting about all of Satoshi's writing on the internet over the years is that he used 2 full spaces after a period in every single sentence. I kid you not. Go look up his forum account on Bitcoin Talk and you'll see what I'm talking about. This idiosyncrasy is found predominantly in 2 categories of people. One instance for the use of double space after a period is that of academics, as a few different college writing styles mandated the use of a double space after a period. But here's the thing, many of these college formats have since then removed this requirement over the years. What's interesting here is that Satoshi casually used this double space after a period method to the point that it became muscle memory, which hints at this habit having been done for years. This could very well mean that Satoshi had learned to type on a typewriter instead of a keyboard, as double spacing after a period on a typewriter was required. If this is true, this gives us a major hint about his age. Many of the first popular home keyboards for personal computers that actually saw mass adoption weren't even released until 1977 with both the Apple II and the TRS-80. Typically, most schools at this time didn't have you write papers on typewriters until college, which leads me to believe that Satoshi Nakamoto is far older than he stated on one of his online profiles. On his P2P Foundation forum accounts, it states that he was born on April 5th, 1975, which, by this time, it would make it far rarer that someone would grow up learning to type on a keyboard over a typewriter. Typewriters saw a pretty steep decline in popularity around 1985. Theoretically, this would make Satoshi Nakamoto 44 today if he were telling the truth. But if we factor in the possibility that Satoshi was around 16 to 18 by the time he began using a typewriter, I would estimate that he's around the age of 55 to 64. I know this is speculative, so take what I'm saying with a grain of salt here, but as far as estimating his age goes, this would be my best guess. At this time, Satoshi claimed that he started working on the project since 2007 and was already well underway in making it a reality. Many people on the mailing list met this proposal with skepticism. The idea for this type of digital money was long in the heads of others before Satoshi, but the key difference here was that Mr. Nakamoto actually managed to execute on his proposal. B-Money by Wei Dai was another project that was referenced as an inspiration to Bitcoin, but never made it past a write-up. DigiCash, which barely mentioned earlier, was a proposed idea by David Chaum for anonymous payments where people could take money from a bank and then use the forms of blind cryptographic signatures to store money on their computers and pay for things anonymously. DigiCash filed for bankruptcy as the company failed to see the adoption in the 1999s due to the fact that e-commerce hadn't really taken off yet. Another project was BitGold by Nick Szabo, and this was basically the precursor to Bitcoin and was incredibly similar, but Nick Szabo never turned his BitGold into a reality. While the two projects in theory were very close, Szabo has since written on his blogs the differences and challenges he faced and how Satoshi's idea was an improvement. I won't bore you with the technical details, but you can go look them up if you're interested. Many people mention that because Nick Szabo wasn't referenced in the white paper, and that the projects were so similar that Nick Szabo was Satoshi. But as it turns out, Satoshi did credit Nick Szabo not just on the white paper, but also on his website. This seems to suggest that Satoshi Nakamoto hadn't heard about Nick Szabo until his project started to receive attention. We'll discuss the Nick Szabo theory in detail in a bit, but for now, let's get back to our timeline. Despite previously failing projects, Hal Finney decided to be the first to take Satoshi up on his proposal and began to work on the Bitcoin project for free. Hal Finney was a computer scientist and also a cypherpunk. He was pretty well known among the cypherpunk community for his work as a lead developer in the PGP Corporation. If you've ever dabbled with encryption, then you've likely heard of PGP encryption. Something I should mention is that Satoshi even looked up to Hal, but more on that later. Hal later wrote on the Bitcoin Talk forum, "When Satoshi announced Bitcoin on the Cryptography mailing list, he got a skeptical reception at best. Cryptographers have seen too many grand schemes by clueless noobs. They tend to have a knee-jerk reaction. I was more positive. I had long been interested in cryptographic payment schemes. Plus, I was lucky enough to meet and extensively correspond with both Wei Dai and Nick Szabo, generally acknowledged to have created ideas that be realized with Bitcoin." As I mentioned previously, Hal worked on the Bitcoin project continuously since his first contact with Satoshi and made a fair amount of money mining the currency in the early days. January 3rd, 2009, the very first block of Bitcoin was mined, and inside this code was a hidden message. This message reading, "The Times, January 3rd, 2009, Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks," which was in reference to the financial collapse of 2008 and was the headline of a United Kingdom newspaper called The Times. Once again here, we see another hint at Satoshi being British. Satoshi Nakamoto's Bitcoin had come at the right place and the right time, and that hidden message seems to communicate strongly his intentions for creating the project. During the following years, up until late 2010, Satoshi would post regularly on the Bitcoin Talk forum and make further improvements to the Bitcoin project. He would post daily to the forums, and to this day, anyone can view his post history on his forum accounts. We're going to individually dig up these posts by Satoshi in a bit, but for now, I should bring up Satoshi's disappearance. Without any kind of regulation, it was primed to be adopted by criminals and other gray area practices. We all know what happened with the Silk Road if you watched Bailey's other video, but more in regards to 2010, another incident occurred at the time of Satoshi's disappearance. For context, in late 2010, WikiLeaks was one of the prime targets for the US government as a result of leaking countless confidential files to the public. No government likes a whistleblower, and a bounty was made on the organization. WikiLeaks was in between a rock and a hard place, as the site was hit with frequent DDoS attacks and funding was cut off as no payment processor wanted to work with them. Any company providing payment services to WikiLeaks became directly associated with them, which made them a target by the government as well. In 2010, a thread was started on the Bitcoin Talk forum that linked to an article from PCWorld.com. Keep in mind at this time, Bitcoin was still relatively unheard of. When the article titled, "Could the WikiLeaks scandal lead to the new virtual currency?" popped up, it suggested that Bitcoin could have been a solution to current funding problems over at WikiLeaks. This was one of the most popular sites to link to Bitcoin at the time, and as a result, a flood of new traffic came in over the brewing WikiLeaks scandal. It was even reported that right after this article was published, the entire Bitcoin forum went down from the influx of new visitors. Many people chimed in on this thread, gawking at the headline, and even Satoshi made a post that read the following. "It would have been nice to get this attention in any other context. WikiLeaks has kicked the hornet's nest, and the swarm is headed towards us." It appears that Satoshi saw an impending threat from the government, as not long after this post, he'd move away from Bitcoin. Satoshi would only make one other update to Bitcoin and would later hand off the project to a man by the name of Gavin Anderson. Something I should explain is that Bitcoin by nature is an open source project, and by this time, there were quite a few people involved. Gavin was a computer scientist that graduated from Princeton, and at the time, he was developing new products for the Bitcoin market. As a result of Satoshi's absence, for a time, he became the spokesman for Bitcoin. After handing off the project to Gavin, Satoshi was still in contact via email for a short while, until one final day. On April 26, 2011, Satoshi would write the following to Gavin. "I wish you wouldn't keep talking about me as a mysterious shadowy figure. the press just turns that into a private currency angle. Maybe instead make it about the open source project and give credit to your dev contributors. It helps motivate them. Satoshi really didn't like the angle of Bitcoin being adopted by criminals, as it posed a risk of him being targeted by the government. Keep in mind, this email was sent 2 months after the Silk Road's launch, and by now, Satoshi had been full aware of what Bitcoin was shaping up to be. After this email, Gavin had informed Satoshi that he was invited to speak at a conference hosted by the CIA, but he never actually replied. And to this day, this is the last known verified correspondence from him.
When I initially started working on this video, I imagined a one-part documentary, but with a topic like this, I really wanted to take my time and slow things down and improve the video polish. The saga that includes this mystery is so extensive that I'd be doing you a disservice by not splitting it into a series to make it easier to follow. There are a ton of implications around the mystery of Satoshi Nakamoto, so I want to cover it in a way that explains the scope of the situation and debunk popular misinformation. In the next video, or videos, we will discuss the events after Satoshi's disappearance and narrow down his online profile much further. With all of that being said, I'll see you in the next episode. This is Barely Sociable. Have a good night.
You can just verify the transaction using those keys, right? And he couldn't do it. So he's clearly not Satoshi.
I'm just gonna hit you with this one, John. Who is Satoshi Nakamoto?
The monk here is Satoshi Nakamoto.
So you're going to show me that Satoshi Nakamoto is you?
Yes. Some people will believe, some people won't. And to tell you the truth, I don't really care.
I'm not in Bitcoin.
But your address
not in Bitcoin. I don't know anything about it.
First things first, in this episode, we're going to be picking up right where we left off, so I highly advise that you go watch the previous episode if you haven't already. Now that you're all caught up, let's do a brief recap. In our last part, we took a look at the general background and genesis of Bitcoin. First, we took a look at the influence for Bitcoin's creation from the cypherpunks and its geographic activism roots in California. We saw that Satoshi's online persona had hints of a British background in a variety of ways. From the usage of the term white paper to his British English and the encoded message from a UK newspaper, all of these hints seem to suggest that Satoshi was of British descent. We also saw that Satoshi had a very formal writing style, to the point that he would idiosyncratically write as an academic on a casual basis. Leading up to Satoshi's disappearance, we saw his individual plea to WikiLeaks to not use Bitcoin. I highlighted this post in my last video, but I'd like to read through it in full to emphasize a point here. When the user R. Horning wrote, basically, bring it on. Let's encourage WikiLeaks to use Bitcoins, and I'm willing to face any risk or fallout from that act. Satoshi responded, no, don't bring it on. The project needs to grow gradually so the software can be strengthened along the way. I make this appeal to WikiLeaks not to try to use Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a small beta community in its infancy. You would not stand to get more than pocket change, and the heat you would bring would likely destroy us at this stage. What's ironic is that the WikiLeaks scandal actually fueled interest in Bitcoin, and despite what Satoshi said, Bitcoin thrived after this incident in 2010, and the price continued to climb and it continued to receive adoption. While many people portray Satoshi as this mastermind plotting every little detail, it's important to humanize him here. Just because something sees success doesn't necessarily mean the creator had perfect foresight. Hindsight is 20/20, but Satoshi made a logical decision to get out of the way of any oncoming problems from WikiLeaks at this time. This was a cautionary move specifically because he could not foresee the future. One final point I want to make in regards to our recap from the last episode is the observation that Satoshi's British background could have been put into place to throw us off the trail. While I cannot directly prove or disprove this, what I can say is that even if Satoshi used American English, he would have definitely still been a mystery to this day. Instead, you should question why this person would have any distinct writing style in the first place. Even if we could narrow down Satoshi to a very specific candidate, there's still plausible deniability here. For someone to prove that they were Satoshi, they would have to be able to provide the cryptographic signatures to move the coins from his untouched fortune. When it comes down to operational security, Satoshi used a fake name, Tor, and paid for a domain with a prepaid credit card, and that's really all he needed to mask his identity. As you'll soon see, with all other clues that are to come, either Satoshi wasn't perfect like every human being on the planet, or he was individually throwing us off the trail at every given opportunity. Now that we're all caught up, it's time to discuss the further implications of Satoshi Nakamoto's disappearance. The true identity of Satoshi still holds weight in a missing fortune of billions of dollars that have gone unaccounted for. Whenever the price of Bitcoin tends to spike to all-time highs, the Satoshi debate and investigation comes right back into the limelight. This is for a good reason, and even if you're not familiar with cryptocurrency or trading, in this section I'm going to lay all of this out for you in layman's terms so you can understand the implications of Satoshi's fortune. As mentioned in the previous part, Satoshi is believed to own a little over 1 million Bitcoin, and to this day, not a single one has ever moved since its initial testing. The only known movement from this fortune is the first Bitcoin sent from Satoshi to Hal Finney. For the record, there are only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin mined into existence, and over time, the total number of coins in circulation will continue to shrink, thus making them more scarce and valuable. When I explained in the previous episode that Satoshi may have lost access to his keys, I need to explain how a mountain of Bitcoin could go missing. Controlling a Bitcoin wallet comes down to a pair of two cryptographic keys, the public key and the private key. This cryptographic private key is a 256-bit number that can be stored anywhere. You could have it on your computer, you could have it on a text file, or you could even write it down on a piece of paper. If at any point you were to lose your private key, you'd lose access to your Bitcoin wallet, and those coins would be lost forever. We know from Bitcoin mining analysis that one entity, starting at the Genesis block, was rewarded around 1 million Bitcoin. If Satoshi was doing this selflessly, You might want to question why Satoshi would pre-mine 1 million Bitcoin. If you were able to figure out what happened to Satoshi's keys, you'd be able to make a huge move in the cryptocurrency market. For example, if Satoshi lost his keys and you could confirm this in theory would remove 1 million from the supply permanently, and the price of Bitcoin could very well significantly increase. The fact that we will eventually run out of new Bitcoin to mine and that coins are lost daily theoretically sets up Satoshi's fortune to become an ever-appreciating asset that could be dumped onto the market at any given moment. If Satoshi were to sell all of his Bitcoin at once, you'd have 1 million new Bitcoin in circulation. This could cause a market correction larger than we've ever seen before. While this wouldn't be the end of Bitcoin per se, this would definitely be headline news all around the world. The fact that we have no idea what happened to Satoshi or his fortune only deepens the mystery. Now, will Satoshi ever sell his Bitcoin? This is quite literally the billion-dollar question. Some people might state that Satoshi can't sell because it would risk his personal safety from the government or legal trouble, and that is one of the main arguments I see. I could understand this argument in the early days of Bitcoin with the whole WikiLeaks scandal, but as things have settled, I should point out it's not a crime to make a cryptocurrency. The technology was new, and this is analogous to saying that it would be illegal to fly a plane over Los Angeles when planes hadn't been invented yet. Hal Finney played just as much a part in the creation of Bitcoin as Satoshi, and he cashed out with no problems whatsoever. Satoshi even said to Gavin, "Give more credit to the dev contributors as it helps motivate them." There have been a lot of people over the years involved with this open source project, so if there was some legal trouble here, then the Bitcoin developers would be in just as much hot water as Satoshi, to which there is none. There are countless other currencies around today where the creators are well known and many of them have sold off, and their projects are still going strong. So it's interesting that Satoshi Nakamoto still wants to keep his identity a secret. I can understand that the guy might not want media attention, but if it comes at the cost of redeeming billions of dollars, it might be worth it. Many conspiracy theorists might suggest that Satoshi doesn't need the money, but you should consider that the guy didn't even own an i5 or AMD computer in late 2010. Now you might be thinking, well, maybe Satoshi had an i7, and he didn't have access to an i7 processor either. Actions tend to speak louder than words here, and personally, I have a hunch there may be another factor that's preventing Satoshi from revealing his identity. One fear that gets passed around when it comes to Satoshi going missing is the possibility of him dumping all of his coins onto the cryptocurrency market at once. The only thing we can really say for certain is that if Satoshi sold a large amount of Bitcoin at once, the price would most likely go down. Generally, whenever a rare commodity floods the market, the price tends to crash, and to top that off, people use Bitcoin as a sort of gold standard to trade other currencies against it. Essentially, if it's a good day for Bitcoin, it's a good day for Ethereum, and vice versa. So if Bitcoin was to crash theoretically, you'd see the entire market go down in tandem. Some people argue that this could trigger some sort of chain reaction if enough Bitcoin was sold at once, but to me this personally seems like fear-mongering. The fact of the matter is, logistically, moving all of that Bitcoin to different exchanges and finding enough liquidity alone would make it almost impossible to sell everything at once. We'd see Satoshi selling from a mile away. Something else to consider is that Satoshi may have been on the run. We know he left the Bitcoin project quickly when the WikiLeaks scandal happened, so there could be a chance that Satoshi left his coins if something didn't go according to plan. Personally, I don't think it's likely that Satoshi would simply just lose his coins, as on one of the forum posts on Bitcoin Talk, a user by the name of VirtualCoin wrote, "Hello, If somebody is losing their wallet due to a disk crash or he's not able to get his coins back, is he? So every time a person loses their coins, they're lost forever? So the Bitcoin network will slowly shrink over time because there will always be people losing wallets? Satoshi replied to this person and wrote, "Lost coins will make everyone else's coins worth slightly more. Think of it as a donation to everyone. If anyone was going to back up their private keys, it would be Satoshi. Keep in mind, we're dealing with a cryptography expert that could easily just encrypt his keys on his computer. It's far more likely, in my opinion, that something happened to Satoshi rather than him losing access to his Bitcoin. And if something happened to Satoshi, then something that needs to be considered is where such an encrypted laptop holding billions of dollars would be sitting right now." Another reason that comes up a lot in regards to Satoshi not selling any of his fortune is the belief that he made Bitcoin selflessly, but I personally think this is very unlikely. While many of the open source projects that exist are largely in part to benefit others selflessly, keep in mind Satoshi pre-mined Bitcoin, which seems to suggest that the end game was to profit. I honestly don't blame the guy, and I don't think many people would have a problem with this guy getting some reward for his work. In my opinion, if Satoshi were perfectly selfless, he could simply make a statement prior to his disappearance saying that he was burning the coins. I may just be a cynic here, but I personally don't believe that someone would forego billions of dollars and years of work for everyone else's benefit. If you wanted to make the argument that Satoshi just did this for the good of humanity, why not just donate that money to charity instead of burning it? For those that say that Satoshi would have to compromise his identity to donate money to charity, that's not actually true. Remember that I said cryptographic keys could be written on a piece of paper. So in this case, if Satoshi took the proper precautions, nobody would be the wiser if an anonymous letter showed up in the mail. So to summarize this section and answer the question of whether Satoshi will ever sell or not, I think it's highly unlikely. Some of you might say that Satoshi is truly playing the long game, but to counter this point, 85% of the Bitcoin in the world has been mined, and we won't likely mine the final Bitcoins until sometime around 2140. Even if Satoshi were playing the longest game in the world here, it still wouldn't require you to sell all at once. So this is truly puzzling as to why not a single Bitcoin has been sold. If you look at any surface level research on Satoshi Nakamoto, you'll see the name Dorian Nakamoto pop up a lot, so I feel like it would be worth discussing how this character in particular fits into this grand internet mystery. What often gets overlooked is what actually happened online at the time of Dorian Nakamoto's popularity. So with that being said, let's leave no stone unturned and go back to 2014. Dorian Satoshi Nakamoto lived a few blocks from Hal Finney and was the #1 suspect at one point with a media frenzy in March of that year.
But first, Vanita Nair shows us how the man is disputing her report.
64-year-old Dorian Satoshi Nakamoto emerged from his Southern California home Thursday and walked right into a media frenzy. Hours after Newsweek magazine claimed he was the mystery man behind Bitcoin.
I'm not in Bitcoin.
But your address
Not in Bitcoin. I don't know anything about it.
According to that article, Nakamoto is a model train buff who lives in a modest single-family home with his mother. When confronted about Bitcoin, he said, "I am no longer involved in that, and I cannot discuss it." The article triggered a full-blown game of cat and mouse through the streets of Los Angeles, with the media tracking Nakamoto's every move, using the Twitter hashtag #BitcoinChase. Eventually, the retired engineer ended up at the Associated Press Bureau.
Where did that come about?
Over a meal of free sushi, he continued denying he was the computer whiz worth an estimated $400 million. In fact, he said he hadn't even heard of Bitcoin until 3 weeks ago.
The main reason I'm here is to clear my name that has nothing to do with Bitcoin, nothing to do with developing I was just an engineer doing something else.
This isn't the first time the media has tried to unmask Bitcoin's founder. Other outlets have tried but failed to identify the creator.
By all accounts, this guy is the face of Bitcoin in terms of what everyone thought a man by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto. As far as his full background, you should consider the guy was trained as a physicist at Cal Poly Pomona and was involved with engineering work later on. He had no background in cryptography, he doesn't write in British English, and the news reporter who broke this story decided to do so after a misunderstanding. Basically, when the reporter questioned Dorian on what he was working on in 2007 to 2009, he stated that he was working on a classified project that he could not disclose the nature of. Dorian didn't understand this was in reference to Bitcoin and was quoted in a Newsweek article stating, "It has been turned over to other people. They are in charge of it now. I no longer have any control." This was enough to dox and ambush the man outside his home with a media frenzy. While it seemed weird that what he was working on was classified, Dorian has since done quite a few good AMAs in which he revealed while it's interesting this guy was in the financial sector, the guy did have an alibi that would make it impossible for him to be working on the Bitcoin project, not to mention the fact that the guy didn't even have the skill set to create Bitcoin in the first place. Dorian was gifted a sum of money when this event took place as a sort of apology for the harassment and mix-up. And something to note is that this guy cashed out at Bitcoin's peak value, unlike another Nakamoto we know. I want you to keep in mind this article was released on March 6, 2014, and there's quite a bit more to this saga. Something I haven't mentioned yet is that the cypherpunk mailing list wasn't the only place where Satoshi advertised Bitcoin. A website called P2P Foundation Forum, and this account was dormant for years. While Mr. Nakamoto had commented a few times, what's really interesting here is that on March 7th, the day after the article came out, Satoshi Nakamoto's account would reawaken and say the following. I am not Dorian Nakamoto. While many people write off this message as being debunked, I honestly beg to differ. On September 8, 2014, an admin on the Bitcoin forum by the name of happs made a forum thread that read the following. Today, I received an email from Satoshin at gmx.com